Namaskar. Namaskar or namaste, same thing, means the divine in me, greets or bows to the divine in you. I am a Kathak dancer. Kathak is one of India's 8 classical dance forms. That's right, there are 8 very distinct classical forms. This is not Bollywood dance. It's not a folk dance. This is, to me, what I consider, and the reason why 18 years ago, while I was here at Berkeley, stepped into this classroom of this art form. And what has been so incredibly moving and spectacular about what this art form has to offer is that it brings together your intellectual side, your emotional side, and your physical side, all in one. It offers them all. So what I will do today is give you a short demonstration of this ancient art form that has evolved over hundreds of years to today, and how some of these things intersect, how some of these concepts intersect. So I will begin with an invocation. We always begin with a way to ground oneself, a way to take blessings of the energy of the room, the floor, all animate, inanimate objects, and also to pay respect to the masters who have passed down these art forms. It's an oral tradition from generation to generation. And most importantly, to connect the mind, the body, and the spirit with the audience. Yato hasto, where the hand goes, stato drishti, there the eyes follow. Yato drishti, where the eyes go, stato manaha, there the mind follows. Yato manaha, where the mind goes. Stato bhavo, there the feelings are. Yato bhavo, where the feelings are. Stato rasa, there the mood is created. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata Purnam Udakshate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishate Om Te Te Dhin Ta Dhin Dhin Ta Te Te Dha ta that's a brief invocation. What I did isn't really different than what we do in class. I see some dancers in the back, whose faces I haven't seen in a little while. Our Berkeley students who have studied for many years, a couple of them haven't danced in a while. You never know, it might have them come up here. They don't know that. They know this. We do this from the very beginning, day one. And I put this up here because I wanted to explain. Many of you, I'm sure, do yoga. How many? Great. So, Om, it's become a ubiquitous symbol. Certainly not when I was growing up in the 80s, but now for sure. And what does it really represent? Well, there are many aspects. So you could have a whole lecture series just on Om. What does it mean? But how does it relate to the dance? And how does it relate to our bodies and our energies? An aspect that perhaps not everyone knows is that Om represents 3 states of consciousness. This bottom part of it is the consciousness of when we are awakened, which is that we see things as finite. We see bodies, we see a room, we see buildings, and that is pretty much where we're all at. The next part is a dream state, which is here, is when we start, there is kind of an understanding that those boundaries are not necessarily there. There's a dissolving of those. It's going a little bit higher into a higher plane of thinking. And then we go into deep sleep, and that is, ironically, although Om is a sound we are making, but it is also actually getting closer to silence, which is deep sleep. And lastly, this is the Bindu, which is what we are all trying to attain, which is infinity, or we call it moksha in Sanskrit, which is the ultimate liberation. And what is keeping us from achieving that is the Maya. This is illusion. Illusion of worldly desires, illusion of all that is finite. And the shlok that I chanted, Om Purnamada, Om Purnamada, this is about, really about what is whole. So the literal translation is, if you take from the whole or from the full, and you take something, that is also whole. And what you just took from remains whole. So what is that translation? Infinity plus infinity equals infinity, or 0 plus 0 equals 0. It's the same thing, but it's translated from this ancient shlok. And how do we apply that in the dance? Well, for me, the dance is how I'm trying to get here. For someone else, it might be yoga. For someone else, it might be running, or it might be swimming, or whatever is your practice. That's what we're trying to get to. So, Kathak. It's a percussive dance. What we recite, we replicate with our bodies. It began as when the bards and the minstrels would travel from village to village, they'd tell their stories, and they would say what I like to call is rhythmic poetry. Ta-ta-te, tigda-ri-te. Ta-te, ta-ta-te, a-te, ta-ta-te. Te-ta-te, ta-te-te-te, ta-ta-ta. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. So, it goes on and on and on, and so forth. But we also tell stories, masculine and feminine. We do both characters. And what's incredible about this is to delve into the emotional aspect of humanity. So I might be a king who has decided to sit on a horse, and maybe get out his bow and arrow. but he also might be enchanted by a beautiful woman. This is Ardhanari Swara, that every human being embodies both masculine and feminine energies. What I want to get more into is, what is this rhythmical math all about? So in Indian classical music, it is one of the most complex in the world. We can divide our beats into an infinite number of ways to break them down. So for example, when we dance in a rhythmical cycle of 16. We dance in many rhythmical cycles, but one of them could be a 16-beat cycle. Now, when you're talking about time, you divide 1 minute into 60 seconds. You can't really do it a different way. You're not allowed to do it in 30 seconds. You have to divide it into 60 seconds. But when we're talking about rhythm, the world is your oyster. You can divide 1 beat into 3 beats, 3 microbeats. You can divide it into 6 microbeats. You can divide it into 5 microbeats. For example, 1. I'm doing 3. 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3. I'm counting the beats. Yeah, but everybody can hear the 3s, right? You hear the 3s? But how about 4s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm dividing the 1 beat into 4. 13, 14, 15. Now how about 5? 1, so forth. There's many different permutations. But this is what makes it an ocean. What do we do with that? Well, you guys are going to participate in counting. Can everybody see my feet? No. All right, that's a problem. Well, yeah, stand in the back if you're in the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the speeds that I'm going to do my footwork in. I'm going to overlay a number of sets of 8 steps that I'm going to do on 16 beats. So our basic tatkar is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is our basic footwork. But I'm going to take that forward and I'm going to increase the speeds. You all are going to count my feet. I'm going to keep saying the 16 beats. So you can get an idea of what is the complexity that is involved in what a dancer who's standing here has to actually be doing at the same time. You guys help. I hope you hold it down. So you're just going to count 8s. You're going to count 8s. I'm going to count 16. So don't get distracted by that. All right? 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't listen to me. 8,
2, 3, 4, 7, 6, 8.
2 sets.
1, 2, 3.
There you go. Good. Now don't listen to me.
7, 8,
9, 13, 14, 15. Now, I'm going to do 3 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 6, 4 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now 6 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 12 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1. That was pretty good. I'll just show you a little bit of how that translates into compositions. 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3. You guys count the composition. 5. Recite the bowls. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1. Now, what I don't have time for is to show you the layering of the rhythms, because the polyrhythms can get very complicated. What you just saw was a series of beehives, or patterns that repeat 3 times. And that kind of rhythmic poetry, which is our syllables that we speak, and that translates to what we're doing with our body. But that comes, yes, you can translate it into numbers, but it doesn't necessarily have that same exact precision. Because if I were to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, versus hey. Yeah, we're kind of doing that to explain and break it down, but it doesn't have that same emotional impact, which is why for me, this is combining all three. But what I can tell you is, for example, we would dance in a cycle that's 9.5 beats, not 16 beats. So far I'm doing everything in 4s. How do you dance in 9.5 beats? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, half, 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, half, B, na, B, na, better get that tone, na, sin, na, B, na, B, na, better get that tone, na, sin, na, B, na, B, na, better get that tone, na, sin, na, B, na, B, na, better get that tone, na, sin, na, B, na, na, better get that tone, na, sin, na, B, na, B, na, better get that tone, na, sin, na, to the next level, which is that you all were counting what I was doing with my feet. I was counting the 16 beats, the rhythmical cycle that is continuously going on. Now, this is adding another layer, and that is adding in instrumentation while reciting the 16-beat cycle, and also improvising various polyrhythms and opposing rhythms with the feet and the body. And this art form is traditionally improvisational, Kathak Dance. It is also like ballet because we do choreography and we do have that, but on the flip side there is this whole aspect of improvisation. So what is the point of this and what is this? Two things. First, this is a harmonium. It's like an accordion. We pump air into it with the left hand and playing the keyboard with the right hand. And the pumping of the air is arrhythmical. And the playing is keeping the melody of the 16-beat. I will then also be singing the corresponding syllables of if there were a drummer here. I will be singing what the drummer would be playing. So I'm simulating that. And then doing these various things with the body. This is an innovation. This is an innovation in contemporary times of my master, and he titled it Kathak Yoga. The reason being because yoga, meaning coming from you, meaning the union of the mind and the body. And a lot of people say, oh, wow, you must be a really good multitasker. No, this isn't about multitasking. I'm a horrible multitasker, actually. This is actually about unifying, and that all of these things are coming to one as a meditation in motion, meaning your body is in complete motion, but your mind is actually completely still. And that is really what the objective of it is. It's not meant for performance, but we do perform it at this juncture. Na